So good morning once again. Thank you for being here. This morning I'd like to explore something in the developmental process from the first chakra to the fourth, related to the Brahma Viharas and our endeavor to have an understanding of compassion for everything and everyone. And that compassion is present moment, and it's also retroactive. You can send compassion to the past as well. So in your comfortable and upright seat, please rest your hands in your lap. You may close your eyes. And bring your awareness into the central channel of the body, from the base upwards through the crown. Allow your breath to become smoother, deeper, so you're supporting your own arrival here. You're bringing yourself through the process of your practice. That also means that you are setting aside distractions. You're giving the vairagyams, you're giving them away. The distraction, you're letting go of. That word vairagya means to be not attached. Now bring your abhyasa, your focus, now begin the Ujjayi breath so you can hear the most subtle form of that sound. You'll hear it with the inner ear. Listen also for the silence at the top of the inhale. In the inhale, pause. The silence at the bottom of the exhale. In the exhale, pause. And then please join your hands together in Anjali Mudra. We're going to chant Sahana Vavatu. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanao Bhunakto Saviryam Karavavai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidveshavahi. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanao Bhunakto Saviryam Karavavai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidveshavahi. Om Sahana Vavatu Sanao Bunakto Savidyang Karavavaye Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidveshavahe Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Guru Pyo Namaha Hari Om. With your exhale, you may bow your head to your heart. And release your hands. So I'd like us to work this morning at the first chakra on something really specific related to our ability to have that inner compassion come spontaneously forward, to have it be available. So I've spoken about different forms of vulnerability over the last couple of weeks. There's another form of vulnerability I'd like to bring in, and it's both subtle and obvious. It can express itself in the dense body. It can be very apparent in your life. But as we move on the spiritual path, it becomes more subtle, the ways in which it manifests. So if you think of back in our developmental times, each of us is a different age, but we had some developmental eras that we shared because of our demographic here in the class. We learned certain beliefs or orientations about other, like about being helpful to other. For example, beliefs like if the other can't help themselves, then we can't help them, or they don't deserve certain kinds of help because of the ways in which they're showing up in society, or this particular part of our population, they're causing their own trouble, and so we don't need to extend ourselves towards them. They ought to be able to get themselves out of that trouble if they would just sort of adhere to the systems that the dominant culture has set up for them, the other. Or we don't offer compassion to people or help to people who are causing trouble or who are seen as difficult or problematic. So the subtle ways in which that shows up in us still today could be directed at ourselves. It could be directed at other as well. And I know that during your time on a spiritual path, you have made a conscious effort to overcome those things. These were societal beliefs that we are now bringing more and more from the shadow into the light. And with a trauma-informed lens, we can look more graciously at how we've been involved in the systems of oppression, for example, because that is oppression. We set people up not to be able to thrive, and then we don't offer help or compassion when they need it in order to get out of the marginalization or difficulties that we have imposed. So this is a belief that we may carry at the first chakra, and those beliefs at the time they were created by powers that were larger than us and that we internalized from, they were trying to prevent vulnerability of their own, trying to prevent vulnerability. It was based on fear and not on a larger view. So what we say in yoga is that we try to take out the outdated beliefs, and those that still hover at the first chakra, our aim in class today is to release those. You may not know what they are. You may not have the words for them. They might only show up when you're really distressed, and then your shame at the first chakra overwhelms your ability to tolerate the vulnerability of the distress, and old beliefs sort of populate, they sprout like weeds, and you find yourself blocking that sense of even a warm welcome to yourself when you're distressed. Even you might go to blaming yourself when you're distressed, in the way that society blamed people who are distressed. in the way that you might have heard from your parents, I can't help you if you're not going to help yourself, or, sort of not age appropriate recommendations for what we were facing, and then being sort of like collapsed or feeling like, oh, I'm somehow intrinsically bad because I can't overcome this particular hurdle or this emotion. So that whole thing swims at the first chakra. Let's take it out. I'm quoting my teacher, Deo Brat, when he says that Nad Yoga is there to take out the things that are toxic, his language. We're resolving the residue or the belief systems. We're taking out the difficulties. So we're actually going to start with a developmental practice using 2 blankets that are going to be there. Eventually, you'll be using those blankets for your feet. So I'd like to start on your back, please, without blankets, but please do get 2 blankets prepared. And let me set myself up here for the other camera, which is probably going to be crooked because I was rushing my setup because I was, again, taking care of kittens. That's how it is here right now. If you weren't here before I started the recording, taking care of kittens is totally delightful, and they're learning about pooping, so that's a different kind of taking care of kittens. So please lie on your back and follow me with the instructions as best as you can. Of course, the visual aid will be there. So as you first lie down, take a block and put it between the 2 knees. So going back to the first part of September, when we were just getting warmed into this conversation about vulnerability at the first chakra and compassion at the 4th. Take your arms out in a T shape, please. Let's breathe in and breathe out. Use the Ujjayi Breath. And with an exhale, raise your left hip and left thigh as you twist over to your right. With your inhale, return to center. Exhale, raise your right hip, right thigh, right knee, twist to your left. Inhale, roll to center. Exhale, roll right, but initiate from your left hip, left thigh, left knee. Inhale to center. And exhale, raise your right hip and roll over to your left. Inhale, return to center. Now, pausing for a moment. When you lifted either hip to initiate the twist, the opposite belly had to be toned. So I'd like you to be sensitive to that. So we're going to slow it down. Using the same process, we're going to add a breath cycle in the middle. So as you exhale, tone the right low belly, raise your left hip up. And then inhale, lengthen your left outer side waist, outer hip, outer thigh. And exhale, tone your left low belly to bring yourself back to center. Inhale. Exhale, tone the left low belly as you raise your right hip. And then inhale, lengthen your right side waist, right outer hip, outer thigh. And exhale, tone your right low belly, roll back to center slowly. Ujjayi inhale. Exhale, tone the right low belly, raise your left hip up. When you tone the right low belly, you might have also noticed your right heel becomes more grounded. Inhale, lengthen your left thigh, sweep your left arm overhead, elongate into your fingers. And then exhale, roll your left low belly down to return to center. Open your left arm back out to the side. Inhale. Exhale, tone the left low belly. Raise your right hip. And inhale, lengthen your right arm overhead, lengthen your right thigh, right side waist, right outer hip. And exhale, roll your right low belly back towards the floor. And as your feet arrive, take your right arm out to the side. And pause there. You should have a sense that you've been using the inner belly. Now let's place your feet up on the blanket. We're elevating the feet on purpose. You could put your feet up on your foam roller, which is how I was practicing earlier. So inhale while you're centered. And exhale, tone the right low belly. Raise your left hip, rotate over. Inhale, reach your left arm overhead and lengthen your left thigh. And then inner belly to roll back to center. And once your feet have arrived, open your left arm out to the side. Ujjayi, inhale, please. Exhale, tone the left low belly. Raise your right hip. Roll across. Inhale, right arm overhead as you lengthen the right side waist. And then exhale, use your right lower belly to roll back to the floor. Once your feet have arrived, open your right arm out to the side. Let's do it one more time, please. Exhale, right low belly, left outer hip. Inhale, left arm, left thigh. Exhale, rolling back. So all these are considered developmental movements that we learned when we were supine. Left arm out to the side. Of course, we're using them in a yogic manner right now. Exhale, left low belly, right outer hip. But you are tapping into the developmental process of your body here. So inhale, raise your right arm, reach your right thigh. And exhale, roll slowly back to center. Using your lower abdomen. Take the arms out in a T shape and put the block aside. Now make your feet on the blanket as wide as the yoga mat. And exhale, right low belly, left outer hip, and come down like windshield wipers. Okay, so the right outer thigh may touch the floor, and the left foot is lifted. Lengthen through your left thigh, reach your left arm overhead. And then exhale, bring your left arm across and reach it past your right. Tone your left butt. Inhale, lengthen the left arm overhead in a half circle. Exhale, twist your upper body to your left. Inhale, raise your left arm, half circle, reach it past your right arm. Exhale, raise the left arm, make the full half circle overhead, returning to the twist. Keep the left butt strong, left thigh stable. Once more, inhale. So as you come across here, we want to tone the left butt, lengthen the left thigh, and then really sustain that as you open. So you're going to be stretching your left hip flexors, not just the twist of the spine, but the front of your left hip as well. And then exhale, use your left low belly with the next exhale. Snug the left low belly in and roll back to center. And then take both knees down to your left. And with an inhale, raise your right arm overhead, elongate the right side of the body. Tone your right butt so the right hip flexors are open. And then reach across so your right hand goes past your left. And exhale, raise your right arm, taking the full half circle to open to the right, but keep the right butt and thigh where they are. And inhale. And follow your exhale. Once more, reach overhead, elongate, keep the right thigh steady. And last one, open. Reach your right arm in a full semicircle. And wait for the next exhale. Through that exhale, tone your right low belly and lift your legs back up to center, using the belly, not the leg muscles. And that's an essential thing. You're using the turning of the wheel of the pelvis. The knees and thighs are following. You cross your right ankle over your left knee. The arms in a T shape. And as you exhale, come down to your left outer foot, left outer thigh, keeping your left foot on the blanket. You might place your right foot on the floor. It may not make it all the way down. Lengthen the right thigh towards its own knee. Let's breathe in and just sense the inner belly, the pelvic floor, the outer hip, all of this structural support for you that becomes your stability once you become upright. So when you exhale now, tone the right low belly, draw it in, and rotate your sacrum back to the floor, using the inner belly to come back. And then inhale, tip over to your left again. And do that slowly so you can sense you're not crashing to the left. Extend your right thigh and your right knee. And then exhale, use your right low belly to roll your pelvis back to center. And one more time, inhale over to your left. And exhale, tone your inner belly, roll yourself up. The legs are following the support of the right belly. Place your right foot on the blanket, cross your left ankle over your right knee, which is a huge stretch for me. Okay, as you inhale, take your legs down to your left, go slowly, and keep the left knee lengthened out. And then stay a couple breath cycles. You can sense the left side waist, the left outer hip, the outer thigh, all these really important structural components that once we stand up, when we become not supine but upright, the stability is developed here. So as you now exhale, connect to your left low belly and roll your sacrum back to the floor. And if you think of it as the sacrum coming back to the floor rather than your knees coming up, that may help you with the process. So inhale to your right. Exhale, left low belly, connect to your sacrum. And one more time, inhale over to the right. And exhale, left low belly. Right side of the sacrum, middle of the sacrum, the complete sacrum. Place your left foot back on the blanket. Take your knees out over your blanket roll and notice what's happening now. Your attention goes down into the pelvic basin, down to the pelvic floor. What is the quality of your mind from that concentration? And please bend your knees. Roll to your side. So thank you for following on the developmental trajectory. Now I'd like you to come to kneeling. Still getting used to my new leg. You know, at first it can feel like Raggedy Ann. It's not really attached. It's more attached now because the muscles are, every time you walk, you build the muscles. Like this. So when you're kneeling in Vajrasana, if this kneeling is uncomfortable for your knees, you can of course raise your hips and put a blanket between your hips and your heels. Okay, inhale, raise your right arm up. And then side bend to your left. And I'm going to ask you to keep the block under your hand to make the side bend more curvy. Slide your right hip to the right. So your right hip can come down to the outside of your right heel. And then slide your left hand and your block. Keep the right hip heavy, please. It's possible that your right hip does not make it to the floor. In fact, it's possible that you're sitting on your right heel at the perineum. The perineum is the pelvic floor, the center of the pelvic floor. And then exhale, bring yourself upright. Keep your right arm near to your right ear, so you have to use the belly to come back up. Release your right hand down. Raise your left arm up. Begin to side bend to your right and slide your left hip over and slide the right block out. And again, it's likely that you're sitting on your perineum, so the left heel is between the sitting bones. Just breathe in, and then when you exhale, tone your left low belly, start raising up, keep your left arm near to your left ear, and then release. Okay, so keeping that in mind, now place your blocks in front of you, reach forward, curl your toes under, and come into Uttanasana. So when you were a child and you wanted to stand up, you did not go from kneeling, 1 foot, second foot upright. You went forward, you put your hands on the floor, you curled the toes under, and you reached backwards until you could find your feet. Your butt was going back to help you come into this position. So here in Uttanasana now, inhale, lengthen your heart forward, rise up to your fingertips. And then exhale and bow over your legs. Once more, inhale, glide forward, raise your chest and your heart, look forward. And exhale, deeply bow over your legs. Walk your hands back towards your ankles, knees, hips, and rise up to standing. And then please step forward for Surya Namaskar, the sun salutation. And I am going to join you with my 2-chair method. So let me get those set up, please. When you come to the front of your mat, you could use blocks if you'd like. And this sun salutation will include seal pose and your choice for upward dog pose if you would prefer that. Let me get this set better for myself, please. Here we go. Okay. Okay, so stepping to the front of your yoga mat. You can join your hands together at your heart. Thank you for your patience with my setup. Now when you come upright, try to plant your attention into your feet. So all 10 toes, inner arches, outer heels. Come to your calves, inner thighs, without the knees hyperextended. Check in with your hamstrings, outer thighs, the front of the thighs, tailbone, pubic bone, the perineum, the center of the pelvic floor. And from that place, inhale Ujjayi, raise your hands up slowly. So you're going perineum, first chakra, second, third, and up. Let's look up at the top. And exhale, then look forward, side bend to your left, keeping the hands like an arrow. Inhale, rise to center, look up. Exhale, side bend to your right, keeping the hands like an arrow. Inhale, rise up, look up. Exhale, separate your hands, come down to chair pose. Inhale, rise up, arms like the letter Y. And exhale, arms wide as you bow forward to Uttanasana. Inhale, lengthen your heart forward. And exhale, step backwards, please, to downward facing dog pose. Inhale, slide forward to plank pose. Exhale to cow pose. Touch your knees down, bring your chest and heart forward. Inhale, slide forward to seal pose, shoulders back. Exhale, table pose, connect to the inner belly. Inhale, plank pose. Exhale, downward facing dog pose. Now inhale, raise your right leg high behind you, keeping your arms stable. And then exhale, step your right foot forward between your hands. This is your crescent lunge. Inhale, arms wide, and as you come up, put the palms together like an arrow. Now keeping the pelvis very stable, when you exhale, side bend to your left. Inhale, raise your arms and your arrow, look up. Exhale, look forward, side bend to your right. Keeping the pelvis very stable. Inhale to center, raise your gaze up. Now exhale, separate the hands and reach forward like two arrows alongside your ears. Then touch the floor, please step backwards to downward dog pose. Exhale, forward to plank. Inhale to cow pose. This time, exhale, come forward to seal pose so you have the structure of your seal pose, and then inhale to light it up. Exhale, table, connect to the lower belly. Inhale, plank. And exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, lift your left leg behind you. And exhale, left foot forward between your hands. Using your inhale, rise up to your crescent. Hands like an arrow. And as you exhale, side bend to your left. Keeping the pelvis very stable, inhale, reach up. Exhale, side bend to your right. Really stable foundation, inhale to go up. Exhale, separate the hands and reach forward with your torso on the horizon. And then inhale, step backwards to downward facing dog pose. And exhale, come forward to plank. Inhale to cow pose. Exhale, come to the structure of your seal pose, and then inhale to light that up. Exhale, table. Inhale, plank. Exhale, downward dog. And then exhale, step forward, 1 foot, 2nd foot. Okay, root your heels and inhale, rise up, please. Urdhva Hastasana. And exhale, hands to your heart. So keeping a sense of the stability from your pelvis and your root, your personhood now as an adult, as everything your life has created by both suffering and the research to alleviate suffering. So everything about that is yours, your value system, your intrinsic sense of connection to the earth, to the tribe. When that is stable, even as life sways you, you don't have to adhere to really outdated belief systems anymore. They no longer pop up. So keeping a sense of this stability, we're going to let the upper torso have this sway in these yoga poses that are familiar to you without losing the base. From this stability, may we extend our compassion in all directions so we're not becoming compassion fatigued by moving away from our base. Right? We keep it stable. And that base is your tribe, your practice, the tradition, these deep inner values. So keeping the palms like an arrow with your Ujjayi breath, inhale, raise up and look up. Exhale, side bend to your left. Right outer hip is stable, so you don't swing the hips to the right to side bend to your left. Open the left arm so the side bend gets heavier. Connect to your right low belly for extra strength. Press into your right heel. And inhale, raise your left hand back up to your right. And exhale up to center using your right low belly. Inhale, twist over, a side bend over to your right. Connect to your left low belly, lower the right arm down. That makes the side bend heavier, so you need more support from the left inner belly to your left heel. Yeah, and then exhale, raise your right arm up. And inhale, rise up, look up. Exhale, Uttanasana, come forward and down. And then inhale, glide your heart forward, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, step backwards with your left foot. Root your right heel. Please inhale to rise. Find your arrow, holding steady. Exhale, side bend to your right. Lower the left arm. I'm sorry, side bend, to your right. Lower your right arm. Then inhale, raise it up. And use your left low belly to come up to center. Okay, open the arms like 2 arrows. Please reach forward. Keep the back of the waist broad. Now touch your left fingertips down and twist to your right. So keeping the right outer hip stable, right outer thigh stable, right outer heel stable. Reach back into your left heel. It's not on the floor, but reach back into your left heel and toes. And then as you exhale, release the twist to your right. Place your hands on the floor or your blocks and step backwards, downward dog pose. Exhale to plank pose, use the inner belly. Inhale to cow pose. Exhale to the structure of seal pose, like the bony structure of seal pose. And then inhale to lift up, look up. Exhale, table. Inhale, plank. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, raise your left leg high. And then exhale, left foot forward. Inhale, rise up into your crescent. I'm climbing up for obvious reasons. Bring the hands like an arrow and exhale, side bend to your left. Lower the left arm. Keep the foundation absolutely stable. And inhale, raise your left hand to your right. Exhale, use the right low belly to come up. Inhale, reach forward with 2 arrows, bow over your front leg. And then place your right hand down next to your left foot and please twist to your left. Keep the left outer hip stable so you don't sashay your hips to your left. Left outer heel stable. And the right leg all the way to the heel and toes stable. And then exhale, return your left hand to the floor or your blocks, or in my case to the chair seat. And inhale, step backwards to downward dog pose. Okay, exhale to plank pose. Inhale to cow pose. Exhale to the structure of seal pose. Think of the heart and this compassion as you inhale, light up your seal pose. Exhale, table, lift the low belly in. Inhale, plank. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, raise your right leg high. And exhale, step your right foot forward, left foot forward. And inhale to rise. Exhale, hands to your heart. Bend both knees, keeping your right foot forward, right knee planted. Step the left toes back and place your left foot in Virabhadrasana 1. I did use the chairs for my support there. You can use your inner support. You can use imaginary support. But as you step back in Warrior 1, do your best to aim your front knee directly forward, and the hips, relatively speaking, are forward. If your back foot is too far back, if the foot's too far turned out, you're going to find that your pelvis is a little bit cattywampus. So a shorter stride can be helpful, and an angle for the back foot can be really helpful. And as you lengthen your front thigh forward, press into your back heel really firmly. Join the palms. Inhale to reach up like an arrow. Exhale, open your right arm to the right. I have to remember that I'm not mirroring you. Lift up and look up with your gaze. And then exhale, bring your left arm forward as you twist your upper body to your right. This is an unsupported twist. The word is niralambaya. Keeping your base really stable. Left heel, left toes, left leg, really stable. The pelvis really stable. Turning from the heart, reach through both arms. That's a part of that developmental reflex also. We learn to reach. We need to learn to reach. We also learn to extend. And then exhale, come back to center, hands to the heart. Reach back now and interlace your fingers at the small of your back. Again, keeping the legs really stable. The foundation is very important. Lift up through your heart, roll the shoulders back, and come into a back bend here. You can lift the heart with your personal commitment to a compassionate life. Understanding our initial vulnerability and our responsibilities now as adults, as developed human beings. Those understandings are at the first chakra, but raise up to the heart now at the fourth chakra. And then exhale, keep the legs really stable. Bring your torso forward over your right thigh. Raise your arms up towards the ceiling. Bow your head. Sometimes this is called the humble warrior. And come down to the inner edge of your right thigh with your torso. And then exhale, release your hands to your pelvis, press into your right hip and heel, rise up to center. And let's see if you can step forward from the back foot. It's a big step forward. I am using my chairs. I have the advantage of such. And then stand tall and see what things are like right now. It's a good moment for a little prayer. What old belief systems might you like to take out or eradicate? What false understandings or misperceptions can be released? Okay, please bend your knees, second side. Standing on your left leg, take your right foot straight back. Pivot your right heel. So the heels are kind of lined up front to back, or your heels are each hip distance. So they stay on the hip distance, like your cross-country skis. They make two parallel tracks. You can put the back heel on its track and the front heel on its track. Raise the arms, please. And keep the back leg very stable. Should not feel like the front leg's going to wear out in this position, because the back leg has a big responsibility too. You inhale, reach up, and then open your left arm to the side. And exhale, right arm forward, begin twisting your upper body to your left. So not the lower back here, but the upper body. This sort of reaching reflex, this extending reflex, what we're reaching towards in terms of support or help or contact, but also what we're extending out, what we're offering. In that rotation, keep the lower body really stable. And then exhale, come around to center and reach back to clasp your hands at the small of your back. As you roll the shoulders back, lift up. You might slide your knuckles down the back of your right thigh because it's there as a support. I know that not everyone's body proportions make that so, but feel free to do that. As you raise up through your heart, think of this inner quality of compassion, not only for others, but this morning for others. And then keeping your hands clasped as you exhale, tone your right leg, tone your left outer hip, left sitting bone, and come forward to the humble warrior pose. You can bow the torso down past the left inner thigh. Your arms are going to go up overhead, yeah, like that. Listen into the breath there that supports you. Good. And then with your exhale, release your hands to your hips and rise up to the base of your warrior one. And see if you might step forward one big step, or lightly touching the chairs to step forward. And again, as you come to mountain pose, try to sense what could be eradicated from the residue or the outdated misperceptions. Notice how you're standing from your hips to your heels. What kind of extra sense of connection might you have there as a result of the practice? And I'd like you to come down to the floor and take a seat in what's called Z formation. And I will show that in just a moment. You can come down to kneeling, that's a place to begin. When you come down to kneel, let's do it. So you're first going to kneel center and then take your hips down to the right and separate the feet. This is called the Z formation. Take a block for your right hand. Okay. Bring a block for your left hand too. Cross over. So you can put the left hand on your right knee like this, or you can put the left hand on the block. Now keeping the left hip somewhat grounded, of course it's not touching the floor at the moment, but twist, the pelvis wants to be pretty stable and you're going to twist upward through the spine like a barber pole. And then start to slide your left block forward. Keep the right arm straight and strong because it's going to encourage a twist of the upper body to your right as you reach the left arm forward. It is okay for the left hip to come up. At that point, there's going to be this movement of the left hip, left thigh, pelvis, twist the upper back and your heart to your right. And then exhale, slide the left block back, strengthen your right arm. Now open your left arm to the left and side bend. Place your right hand on the floor. Press firmly into your right hand. Raise your hips up. Press into your left knee and your left shin. And then exhale, lower your hips back down. And let's change sides for the legs, please. Remember that whatever life brings, when you have this strong foundation, the values of your foundation, then you are stabilized even in the changing winds of your life. Place your left hand on its block and right hand on the block next to your left knee. Twist like a barber pole going up and to your left. And keeping the left arm straight and strong, walk the right block forward. Your right hip may come up with you slightly. That's appropriate. Doesn't have to come very far at all, but it might. And then exhale, roll back to center. Place your left hand on the floor. Raise the right arm overhead, side bend to your left. And as you press down into your left hand, also press into your shins, raise your hips up. And then let's exhale, come down. Swivel your feet around to center. Place your feet flat on the floor, please. Take the hands behind you, fingers pointing forward. Roll up, chest, heart, and throat. Pressing firmly down, inhale, raise your hips. It's called reverse table pose. And then exhale, lower your hips. Reach your arms forward and roll down. We're rolling down to Shavasana. And get really comfortable in your Shavasana. Take the arms out to the side. Turn your palms face up. And as you come to rest in Shavasana, think again of what could be eradicated by your practice today. What of your own, maybe even subconscious or unrealized implicit messages, beliefs, outdated perceptions, what can be eradicated? On behalf of that question, let your pelvis and your legs get really heavy in this Shavasana. Let the hips, thighs, calves, heels get really heavy in this Shavasana. And releasing, we know that we'll be more liberated. We'll be more in touch with life. We may also feel a bit of vulnerability for the release if any of those messages or beliefs were like protective mechanisms. But you have the strength for this vulnerability. Allow that taking out process, that residue releasing to continue. Don't let the mind wander away. Imadoga, 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 Himadoga 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 So welcome the taking out process to continue. And bring some awareness now to the heart. The inner realm of compassion. And invite this indwelling compassion to move outwards towards everyone and everything, and towards those who originated those beliefs and misperceptions, those who marketed them, those who internalized them without realizing, and then passed them on. Compassion for the part of you that was also susceptible. An appreciation for the journey that you've been on that does bring you to the present moment where your compassion is more available. And you can lightly wiggle your fingers and your toes. Slightly deepen your breathing. Please bend your knees. When you're ready to, you may roll to your side. And return to sitting. When you come upright, sit in the temple of the body. Now at rest in the deep values that you have come to behold. On behalf of your tribe, the ecology, all of the species with which we share this amazing experience. So sit in the simple stillness. And please join your hands together at your heart. You may sing with me if you like. Himadoga, 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 Himadoga. Thank you, everyone, for being here this morning. Namaste. Blessings on your journey. Thank you again. And if you have questions, I have a few minutes for questions too. And if you just want to bask, that's okay also.